So, hi students. So, today we are going to learn paper 6. So, this is what year? 2019 February paper 62. Okay, variation 62. Well, some people say February is easy. I don't know lah. Some people say certain year or certain end of the year is more easier, difficult, but yeah, actually it might be true way. Somehow, sometimes I see some paper is easier. Okay, a student investigate. Let me take a highlighter. Investigate the germinal shape to keep that have been kept in different temperature. So obviously the temperature will be the manipulated variable because it's mentioned here. The thing that we want to change, all other condition will keep the same. So this will be the constant variable. I think it will be type of seed, maybe the volume of water, and maybe the volume of water type of seed, or maybe the spaces of between the germination. Okay, if you take different space, then the data won't be that accurate due to the competition. So there will be another variable in the experiment, right or not? So show two dishes, dish A and dish B. So this A, the plant grow, and dish B, the plant did not germinate. We didn't see even a single leaf from the dish B. The temperature at the dish will kept as is shown. So this is very cold, almost to the freezer, the temperature in the freezer. And this one is around room temperature, around 20, what is this? 24, is it? So around 20 to 30 will be the room temperature means the temperature in your room. So sometimes I say 27, 28, 30, usually 28, 25, 24. Okay, read the two temperatures, and the student didn't get any mark. Record it to the nearest 0.5. So let's see, temperature 1. Let's look at temperature 1. So the temperature 1, if you look closely, you can see that it is 1.5. So the answer will be 1.5. And temperature 2 also the student didn't give correct, because even though the is 24, but the question already mentioned that record it to the nearest 0.5. So you need to put one what is it called, one decimal point. So even 0.0 also you need to write, and the student didn't write 0.0, so the student didn't get any mark. So this is a common mistake that students do, even for the smart student, because but you must get used to it lah. This is the trap. So every time when you do, make sure that you just put the decimal point is the best, because if you got put no put, it is still considered correct. And if you are taking physics paper, you always put 2 decimal point, because if you got put it's correct, you no put also, you got put, whether the marking scheme need or no need also, it is still correct. So that's why I always recommend for students that taking physics paper, put 2 decimal point. And for this one you need to put 1 decimal point, because it's already mentioned in at here. Look at the seed for dish A and B. Suggest the dish in the temperature which had grown. Give a reason. Okay, so obviously the student write 2, 1, because temperature 2 the seed grow, and this one it doesn't grow. Give a reason. The reason is, so the reason is greater growth in A. So the student didn't get any mark, because this is just 1 mark. So if you got 1 mark, 1 correct, 1 wrong, so it didn't get any mark. Okay, let's see why is it wrong. Reason, seed germinate with 1 temperature. Actually it is correct. This is correct, because seed really germinate in 1 temperature, correct or not? This is the correct answer, but the answer that the marking scheme is looking for is greater growth in A. Why? Because I think they are talking about experiment in terms of observation. We here, because we usually experiment, there will be upper part, then it go lower, then at last it will be the temperature. But since this upper part they are talking about the observation, so they ask you usually before you do experiment conclusion you see the observation. So the observation is this one is greater. Why? Because it has the greater value. So they haven't reached the conclusion, but this is just part of the observation. Some maybe the examiner will give right lah, but it could be right because shows that the student understand, but for me I just keep it wrong lah. It depends on your luck lah if you write until like this. Figure 1.3 show 3 of the germinate seeds from dish A. So there's a dish A, seeding 1, seeding 2, seeding 3. Length of the seeding I give all correct. Okay. The reason is the student didn't calculate properly is no, the student measure properly. Okay, because the student print the paper out. So when you print the paper out, the margin is slightly adjusted when you print your paper. So that's why when you print your paper and do, you won't ever get the correct answer. But if you see that everyone is less by 1, then you know it's correct. Not 1 less than 1. So if you want to be more accurate, when you print paper to do, you press print according to its size. If not, it will reduce it or make it bigger. So this is correct. The student did it correctly, so don't worry. When you do exercise at home also, if you print, you will have something like this. Calculate the average seeding plus all divided by 3. You get this one. The marking scheme is other answer also, but it's still correct due to the adjusted size of the printed paper. Let us not read the question, just read the test. Iodine is changed to test starch, so because changed to blue black, that is starch. Vanillin, remember vanillin is a test reducing sugar, so there's no presence of sugar. If there are sugar, what will be the change in vanillin? Okay, so if got reducing sugar, it will change to yellow or red. Okay, so just put here and remember in case the exam asks yellow or red. Red means it is more sugar. Yellow means it is lesser sugar, but either you put yellow or red lah. Okay, the student cut the potato. When the potato is cut into the salt solution, the concentration of salt solution will affect the length. So if you put more salt into the water, it will affect the length. So yeah, okay, so if you put water, the thing usually will become turgid, right? Like the vegetable that you see, the people in the market that sprinkle water so that the plant will absorb the water and the plant will become turgid and bigger and looks fresh. But if you put salt solution, it will draw the water from the plant through the process. Let's say the question asks osmosis. So the plant will be getting smaller, like how you make the dry fish or what, we use salt to draw water out from the object. So the salt solution will affect the length. Probably the potato cylinder will become smaller, but not its mass. They are talking the mass in terms of potato, so they are not talking about water lah. The thing, the plant is heavy because there is water in the plant. Plan an investigation to test whether this statement is correct. So before I mark this, let me copy the marking scheme, so at least you know the marking, how the marks is given for this paper. So this question consists of 7 marks. So probably lah, this will be 1 mark, 2 mark, or here also can be 2 mark because minimum of 1 each. So usually this one 1, this one 2, this one could be 2, this one 1 or 2. Okay, usually something like this lah. So you need to get at least 2 point, 2 point, 2 point, 2 points the best. Especially for description, it could be 3 point as well, because you talk a lot that you need to explain a lot using your own word. So as long as everything add up to 7 point, then you got the mark. And you need to write the variable. So in every time during experiment, I think it's a common thing, even if it's not in the marking scheme, but we can roughly know that what the question is asked, because the question actually asks you to do the experiment. So when doing experiment for science, it is very common that we have hypothesis, variable, procedure, then observation, data collection. After that we have conclusion. So these are the common thing that every experiment will have, and they just ask you. So when you do question like this, you usually this 7 thing, 6 thing lah, usually they won't ask for conclusion. This 6 thing you need to write out in order to get a good marks in this question. So I already finished the student question. The student apparatus get 1 mark. Procedure, probably I will give him 3 mark. I will not read this lah, but I know the procedure is very long. You get 3 mark. And then for measurement and processing also is the more towards the procedure, because when you're talking about the procedure, you need to explain about the measurement, and you can see here about the result, mass and percentage change. So this is more about data collection, the interpretation of data and data collection. So this is the data collection. Yeah, so I just put here data collection. But of course this is also the procedure lah. It's a bit like mix between procedure and data collection. So I will give data collection. The student did write about data collection. The weight is same before, blah blah blah, and it will not affect back. So this is the conclusion. After the experiment, but the length increased is conclude. Then this conclude that okay, it's not a conclusion. It's just the explanation that what might happen. So I give 2 marks for this one. So the student total get 5 marks and the student lose 2 marks. The reason lose 2 marks because the student didn't write the variable like control variable, temperature, time, size, mass cylinder, same volume solution. Okay, so here we can see that here the student did mention measure it with the same solution. Okay, same solution. So because I didn't see, so I just give 1 more mark for this question. 1 more mark for this question, so I put here 6. Yeah, so if when you do this question, you can do some spacing, like maybe this one you do 1 paragraph, this one you do 1 paragraph, and this one do 1 paragraph, for example So this actually help the examiner to mark, because it give you 4 points. So when you give 1 point, blah blah blah, then you give another point, 1 paragraph, 1 paragraph. So this actually help the examiner to mark the paper. If not, I need to go and look over where's the point. Of course they need to still find it, because it's their job. But if you do paragraph for them, it will be helpful a lot. And you imagine that he should have 1,000 or 2,000 paper to write. So if you mark, so if you do it in paragraph, maybe who knows, you treat him good, then you get more mark. I don't know, but I like to treat my examiner good lah. Maybe he will give me more mark. Question number 3. A student investigate the change of temperature with sodium carbonate and ammonium nitrate. Okay, so probably this will be a exothermic reaction sodium carbonate and ammonium nitrate. I don't want to read this. As usual, you place the water into with the salt, then you mix it, then you want to repeat it by changing the, let me read where's the variable, when the temperature change in sodium carbonate. So after that, he repeat it with the mass. Okay, he repeat with the mass. He didn't mention the hypothesis lah, but probably he want to, maybe the hypothesis is temperature will increase when sodium carbonate is mixed with ammonium nitrate. That's the first hypothesis. Second hypothesis, probably I think it will be if more mass is added, more reactant of what is it called, ammonium nitrate, the reaction will give a higher temperature. So the hypothesis 1, hypothesis 2, I don't know, I just assume. And when you grow up, then you will know that sometime when you do experiment, you can straight away do a few hypotheses. So one experiment, it can be 3 hypotheses. and see whether you can prove these three hypotheses is correct or wrong for the experiment. Mass blah blah blah, temperature blah blah blah, mass of ammonium nitrate blah blah blah, temperature blah blah blah. So we can see that the temperature increase for this one, and then this one the temperature decrease. I thought
when sodium carbonate and ammonium nitrate dissolve in water, so it's, I think, separated.
so they are not mixing sodium carbonate ammonium nitrate. Okay, they are like, okay, take sodium, put in water, take ammonium nitrate and you put in water. Just now I say the hypothesis wrong already, but something like that lah. I don't want to repeat about what I say just now. It will be a different hypothesis if you understand the question differently. Mass of it and this one so on. So we can see this one is exothermic process because the surrounding temperature increase. This is endothermic process where the surrounding temperature decrease. And let's look at the question. Read the temperature to 0.5. So you can see again here 0.5. So at least your answer must be 1 decimal point. 1 decimal point in the terms of 1.0, 1.5, 2.0, 2.5, 3.0, 3.5. Not 3.2, 3.3. Either 3.0 or 3.5. No 3.3, no 3.2, no 3.4. You get what I mean? So this is 0.5. So that's why you see all the answer also is 0.5. Read the temperature and record. So the student get correct. Here's 330.0, 16.5 and 10.0. So you get 3 mark. Calculate the change in temperature. Put a plus minus sign. So the student put plus minus sign. Very good. And the student even put 1 decimal point. Is better. Okay. It's not required in the marking scheme, but even if you put, you are not considered wrong. Okay. 1.0 is still 1. 1.0000 is still 1. So you are still correct. Stirring the mixture helped the solid to dissolve. Give one reason why the mixture is stirred. Okay, to get an even temperature. So this is the answer in the marking scheme. But of course, to increase the rate of reaction is also correct lah. But because the question already say that stirring help to dissolve the solid. Okay, give one other reason. So the other reason will be to get an even temperature. C1 grid is provided. Plot the change in temperature vertical against the mass of sodium carbonate and ammonium nitrate. So this is the change in temperature and this is the mass of solid. 2, 3, 4, 2, 4, 5. So we can see here 2, 4, 5, the 10, 5, 9.5, 15.5, 5.
So I get 1 mark for this.
Draw a straight. So you get 1 mark for the S. S. Draw one straight line and label S. Oh, you didn't label S. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
0 mark.
I label a name.
Didn't follow the because the marking scheme say must label S. Okay, must draw a straight best fit line and an S. So but this is a common mistake that student do lah. That
And the top one is C1.
C1 means what?
The question number C1.
C1
This one is 1 mark.
Let me read. On the grid, plot the change in the vertical axis against mass of the vertical axis against mass of solid. Okay, so this one the student get correct for this question. Because you need to plot temperature against the mass of solid to get a mass. So the student write change temperature against the mass, and they even give you the unit. If they didn't give, you need to write like mathematics lah. If you didn't write the unit and the thing also, you will get wrong. So And one more important point is it must be half of the graph of the paper. It must be big, around at least 50% of the graph paper, so we can see that it is the graph is big. I'm not talking about the scale big. Sometimes the number can grow very big, but the graph is just like this small, so it is still wrong if your graph is like, for example, just this small, but the number go until infinity. When you draw this thing, the arrow, it must be at least 50% of your graph paper, so you get 2 mark. Basically the 2 mark is correct scale and big. Okay, so the student get 2 mark. And this one, the student didn't get 2 mark because the student didn't label A and S. And one more thing is this one the student do wrongly. And when we talk about best fit line, I think it's talking about you doesn't need to follow the dot. And since they say a straight line, so it's supposed to be, let's say this will be the answer, it will be something like this. Wait, let me use my ruler. Where's my ruler? My straight line. It will be something like this. Going up a bit. Yeah, it will be something like this, because this is called a straight line. Usually the question will give you a few more x, something like this. So it makes more sense when you draw a straight line because there's a few dot, but this question they only give you 1 dot. But if you anything, but I think it will be like this lah. It's this, because we call this as a best fit line, and the question asks us to draw a straight line. So I just draw a straight line, even though sometimes I feel it doesn't make sense because due to lack of data for this experiment. But sometimes the question will ask best fit line or best curve line, so you no need to really follow the lot. Okay, just your best of drawing a curve line or your best of drawing a straight line. Okay, so it makes sense lah if I draw like this, but lack of data lah, so I don't know why the question asked this, because seriously I feel it's a lack of data. Use the graph to remove occurring 3 gram in the distilled water. So 3 gram you will get 6.6. okay, 3 gram of sodium carbonate. So we can look at here, sodium carbonate, 3 gram, go up, go up, go up, go up. Sodium carbonate 3 gram. Okay, so for this one you need to follow the graph lah, but the student didn't do. But if the graph is wrong, then the answer will get wrong lah, so I just do wrong there, because I think the graph is wrong, so the answer will be wrong. And one more thing, you need to, you see this one, show clearly on your graph paper. So you can see the student didn't show anything, so you don't even get mark for this, because the question say show clearly on your paper. So what you need to do is use a pencil. I think you need to use a pencil lah, because, and draw bigger a bit lah. You need to draw a straight line here, go up, and then a line go here, and then maybe let's say lah, the answer is 8.4, for example, 8.4 Celsius. So you need to clearly draw in your graph paper here the arrow to the you use ruler lah. The reason I draw like this, so that you can see, you can see the thing 8.4. So this is how you show a clear thing lah, clear that you arrive to get the answer. Even though if you get this correct, also you didn't draw the line, also you didn't get any mark, because here is mentioned in the marking scheme. You need to get it correct. Predict the change in temperature. Yeah, so one thing is, I think students need to read properly the question. Now most clever students, they actually know how to do, but they lost a lot of mark because they didn't follow the instruction of the paper. I don't know, it's like a trick or a trap so that you all won't get that high mark. Yeah. Predict what change in temperature as in 3 gram will added 50 cm of distilled water. So eventually you will only get half of the temperature, because the water also is, you added also is double the original amount. So I give this one correct lah, the student get correct. Okay, the answer for the marking scheme is value from the graph divided by 2. So I just give correct lah, even though the value is wrong. So I get 52 mark. Another one, repeat experiment in potassium carbonate. Suggest the graph didn't increase further from point A to B. The reactant are fully used up. And the answer for the marking scheme is not all potassium carbonate would dissolve, correct or not? Because even though you put all the as much as possible the potassium carbonate into the water, the temperature won't go up because you didn't add the water, because there is a limitation for the water, so no matter, and it will not dissolve further, so that will be the 1 mark. So this one I didn't give up, even though this is correct lah, reactant are fully used up, because we want to consider the water as the, if you want to consider the water as the reactant, but usually reactant we think of something more towards chemical rather than the water. So this is the marking scheme. So no examiner just follow, but this one depends on the question. Sometimes this answer is correct also. Number 4, a spring to immediate compression, the spring Fk is constant. Show measure the strength of L. Use a ruler to measure in mm. So the answer marking is 21. The student get 22 is common because due to when you print out the paper, there will be some adjusted scale. The student attach the spring clamp 300 gram to the spring. Okay, so you clamp 300 gram. State the measure. So it's 133. Draw a line. When measuring spring, you might discard to draw. Okay, so you want to draw a line, a perpendicular line. You got right this way, you straight away get 1 mark. Calculate the extension of x of the spring. So L1 minus L2, there'll be slight difference, but the when you go to exam, it must be exactly the same, because I'm marking a paper, that's why I give correct. Okay, a mass of is 10 Newton, determine the weight of W. So oh yeah, this is 1 mark. So even though you use this working also, you get 1 mark because it's just 1 mark, so your answer is correct. You will straight away get 1 mark. But the working that the student do is not really the working that the exam want. No, this is the working that the examination want usually. So maybe for exam you do F is equal to kx lah, the constant, the spring formula, F equal to kx, then you just blah 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 blah, and then you get the answer. I know this one is you can get the answer lah. I also like to do like this because I think it's easier, but must sometimes. But here is 1 mark lah, so it doesn't really matter. But if here is 2 or 3 mark, please follow the formula given in textbook. Just follow it. Calculate the spring in the K constant using the formula F equals Kx. You do. The constant is 0.03. The marking says 0.057. There's minor change due to the exam paper scale. The student attach the spring, the first spring. She hang 300 gram mass from both spring as shown in 4.3. So there are 2 spring. So L2 you get 73 mm. Calculate your value of LO and the question. So after you do L2 minus L0, you get the answer. Okay, 51, 52. Calculate the spring constant. Okay, you use the formula and you do, you get the answer 0.06. So you get 2 mark. You need to show the working. So the student show this working very good. The student remove the spring from the clamp and join together, and he put it at this side. So L3 with the 2 spring like this hanging. So write out the extension is 2L4 291. Calculate the total extension. So you minus this one, you get minus 227. Then you calculate the spring constant is 0.013. You get this one correct. Calculate the value of 2K and 0.5 using your value from B3. So again, the student do it, follow the formula 2K and 0.5, and you got this answer. Okay, 0.06 nm, K constant 0.015, so you get correct. Explain whether the value agree with the student prediction if your answer should refer. Okay, Kp equal to K is correct, but Kf equal 0.5 K is incorrect. It might be due to the measurement error. Okay, so this one is the keyword. If the student say due to the measurement error, you will get 1 point. Another student suggests that the more accurate result could be obtained if a larger value of mass is hanging. Explain how larger mass can improve the accuracy of the result. So the marking scheme mentioned OWTTE means words to that effect. So the answer is larger extension reduce measuring error. You need to use a certain way so that the value will be larger and you can reduce a measuring error, or any answer relate to the answer in the marking scheme. So actually I can give wrong, but I just give correct lah, because you get a larger value, but the exam can give wrong, so I don't know, sometimes BOD. Suggest why using a much larger mass will not improve the accuracy of the result. It's harder to measure. And one more thing, if you use too light, the measurement will be in error due to measurement, because you use like 1 gram, 2 gram, how you want to measure, you cannot even see unless you are really really powerful. And the second thing is you cannot use too heavy. One thing is, if you use too heavy, it will exceed the limit of the spring elasticity, and the spring will spoil, right? When you put too heavy, the spring actually stretch more, and it cannot return to its original because it's over its elastic potential limit, so it doesn't work anymore. So maybe we can say, okay, the spring will deform, the spring will spoil. Maybe I say the spring will break. Anything lah, will break or will deform.